morning. Good morning. How is everybody in the chat room? How are you? What a fine day it is. Happy Saturday to everybody. We're going to get started in just a couple minutes, but I'm jumping in here early so I can say hi to the chat room. Good to see you. You'll see me in just a second as soon as I take this graphic away and that kind of thing, and then we'll try and get this whole thing rolling. I don't want to give away that. There's lots of clips today, lots of little chunks of news. It's going to be good stuff. So needless to say, I am completely baffled by the people who leapt right into the arms of William Barr a few weeks ago. I was dubious from the very beginning, and my dubiousness paid off. I've still got my anti-computer glasses on right now. Highly recommend these blue blocker glasses for folks if they sit in front of a computer at all times. But I will take them off of the show because it's only fair, I think. Let's see. All right. Why is this guy tilted up like that? It's crazy. I need more stuff in this room. Craziness. What's happening? Morning, Carl. Good to see you, Hal Vickery. Kind of a dead news week, yeah. So little going on. It's just sort of pitiful. I do suspect that we're going to see a decent amount of trollage over the next couple weeks and a couple days. Oh, good. It was a Clark Kent reference. I thought for a second, I was like, oh, no. Video went south again. Why does it always happen to me? Why? Why does it always happen? Why's it got to be like that? Just so rude. But in the interim, that's cool. Hal, there's an app to change the color of the blue light so you don't need to wear the glass. Oh. That's cool. Although it doesn't apply. I mean, it applies across maybe your devices, but not your computer screens and television screens and all the other screens we interact with all the time. That's interesting. If your video ever pauses or freezes up, guys, don't forget you can just kind of just reload your page. It should pop right back in. We have a new working URL for the show. For those of you that weren't, let's see. I don't want to jump in there like that. For those of you that, don't want to have to click the link each time, infotainmentwars.com. Yeah, I'm messing with them. I don't care. I think it's hilarious. Oh, I gotta bring this thing in. Squeeze. Oh, what are you doing? Let's see.
30 seconds.
Excellent. Just finding my page on this because there's so much to this. How many of you guys in the chat room got a chance to either join me or look at the special report I did day of on Wednesday?
I
Thursday,
have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Live exclusively for WCPT in Chicago, standing up and speaking out, here's Hal Sparks.
Well, after a lot of flailing and gnashing of teeth, the Mueller report's redacted form was released this week, which set in motion the next 7 months of your political life, ladies and gentlemen. Everybody who said to you that this is over, this is done, there's no more to this, the no collusion, no obstruction, the witch hunt is totally done. Anybody who sold you that bill of goods is playing standardized magician distraction. Let's start off with one thing, and then we'll get into the substantive aspects of this particular report and the information that came about it. And right out of the gate, by the way, Illinois, our home state of this radio program, factored pretty heavily early on in the Mueller report. Didn't get a lot of news. Some of us out there who have been following this stuff are aware that there were issues that had to deal with Illinois voter rolls, and that is confirmed in the Mueller report, even in its redacted form. But maybe somebody in the chat room can explain this to me. Maybe somebody who's a caller, 773-763-9278. All these folks who say constantly, I don't trust my government. The reason I need a machine gun is because one day I might have to fight off the tyrannical government that goes against the will of the people and acts in an illegal form, violates the Constitution, rolls down my driveway with a truck and a tank and some sort of mounted radio wave device that makes my guns useless. But I need my guns because I don't trust the government. That's why. And anybody who trusts their government is a moron. And those people, along with some curious progressives who I think it just boils down to wishful thinking, hatred of Hillary, or just the desire to put this behind them because they don't have the emotional fortitude to deal with this. Thank you for the super chats right out of the gate there, Jack S. and Hal Vickery. Thank you so much. These folks who constantly say, I don't trust my government. As a matter of fact, I think they faked the moon landing just so they could take away my guns. These people were falling all over themselves to believe William Barr's 4-page summary, something, of the Mueller report before anyone had seen it, even in a redacted form. And thinking that his press conference where he said the trademarked Trump slogan going forward into 2020, no collusion, TM, several times. It's trademarked because if you trademark something, it doesn't have to be true. They couldn't wait to line up to mop Donald Trump's backside with their tongues and emotionally fillet William Barr nonstop, saying I don't believe Mueller, who fought in Vietnam and has served honorably for decades and is a Republican. I don't believe him. But I do believe this hack left over from Bush 1, who said that everyone involved in Iran-Contra, remember, crack, cocaine, guns, weapons to Iran in exchange for hostages, that William Barr, they couldn't wait to line up behind that guy and Donald Trump before they ever read the Mueller report, without ever asking themselves, if the report it comes to the conclusions that William Barr and Donald Trump say it does, then why do they need a rebuttal document for it? Why did the lawyers need a preemptive view of it? And then why in the world would you need to release a 4-page summary a month before you release the actual report and do a press conference the morning of beforehand, pushing the no collusion, which, by the way, that's not what the report says. A lot has been made of the report talking about the case for obstruction. A lot of evidence towards case for obstruction, a lot of obvious legal language, and we'll get to that today, about how this gets referred to the Justice Department and then to Congress. And essentially, the whole report and the no collusion, no obstruction, all that boils down to the fact that Donald Trump was not referred for indictment by Robert Mueller. And Robert Mueller, in his report, says exactly why he doesn't refer Donald Trump for indictment. And it isn't, kids, that he doesn't believe Donald Trump doesn't deserve to be indicted. He simply references the fact that, oops, did I get bumped off? Oh, no, we're good. Are we connected in Chicago? Are we all good? It says connecting, so I'm concerned. Somebody in Chicago's bumped me off, but hopefully everybody in YouTube land can hear me just fine. All that is good. Maybe we could go to hop. Okay, there we are. I think we're back, somebody Lady B. Bumped me off, but hopefully everybody in YouTube. Oh, an echo. She's grabbed me off YouTube. That's excellent. Okay, so a little bit of a loop there. Pardon my. It's always those Russians jumping in trying to sabotage the show. It happens. So, everybody can't wait to support William Barr and Donald Trump in this projected lie going forward, but it's not. And everyone's saying, well, they didn't offer an indictment. There was obviously no evidence because Mueller didn't say indict the president. And that's not what the report says at all, kids. What the report says is Robert Mueller is under the impression that William Barr will hold him regardless, will hold him to the DOJ policy of not indicting a sitting president. And Mueller makes the case that if I put forward charges, then the president will not have his legal day in court, and therefore two things can happen. One is, if he's innocent, it's unfair to him that he is unable to fight this constant thing hanging over him for the rest of his presidency, because technically the indictment wouldn't go through, but the charges would just hang there over his presidency. That's the generous version that Mueller puts forward. The other version is that because it denies him a speedy trial effectively, after he gets out of office and he's charged with these things, if let's say we're not going to let you, we're not going to indict you on this, but they'll sit there. Once he does fight them in court, he will be able to make an argument of a tainted jury pool. He will never be able to have a jury of his peers because of the idea that for 2 or 4 years these charges were hanging over him, and the charges themselves would be thrown out because of that. So more than likely, there's a sealed indictment sitting somewhere, or processes happening in the Southern District of New York and the D.C. circuit that have to do with these charges that Donald Trump will be facing more than likely when he leaves office, which will be a first in American history. I'm not 100% sure how I feel about it, because I feel that becomes a slippery slope. Since we skipped it with Bush, which I think would have been a way of anchoring this in such a way that you couldn't look, if Trump was charged afterwards for the kind of stuff he was involved in, it would have been, well, that's what we do. That tough, if you do criminal acts while you're a president, we go after you. Well, not all the time. So, poor little Trump can argue that we're just picking on him. The other thing is, one thing that Trump has been very good at for a very long time is pretending, hiding his communications. He has learned since, and it comes up repeatedly in the Mueller report that other people talk, that he talks to other people about this, that there is a constant, fear that Donald Trump has about, taking notes or recordings, even all the while he is recording people. And we will find out apparently that Michael Cohen made more recordings that he is going to release before he goes to jail, which will be curious. So let's see. There's one area where, for me anyways, it jumped out as a Chicagoan, as a proud Chicagoan. There, one of the early in the report, page 50 of the first part of it, which is about the Russian intervention in our elections and their attempt at messing with it. And remember, I'll read it to you when we come back from the break, because we got to take a break. 773-763-9278 is our number. When Barr gave his little press conference, he said, unequivocally, he said, no member of the Trump campaign interacted with, colluded with the Russians, and no American willingly or unwillingly assisted the Russians in interfering with our election. When we come back, we're going to find out how that is extraordinarily false, like Sarah Huckabee Sanders level BS. We'll be back. It's the Hal Sparks radio program, mega worldwide on WCPT Radio, Chicago's Progressive Talk, streaming live at infotainmentwars.com. Yeah, that's right. We have a special URL. We're on the YouTube channel. Join us in the chat room. We'll be back right after this. I'm sorry, Lady B, I dropped off on there. I looked down and it was connecting. And so I restarted it. But it seemed to be fine. I've got a good signal. I don't know what's doing it. I don't know. There's nothing I can do about it. It's just a piece of technology. So I'm going to try and relax and enjoy the chat room as much as I can. Obviously,
Stop tailgating me, you pasted teabag.
so you got to chat through here. I don't know if is the page okay? We're all right streaming? Yeah, we're good. Got 178 people currently in here, which is awesome. Chat rate's at 16. I got to reload this little thing or whatever. I got to close this and then reopen it or something. Yeah, there we go. For whatever reason, my chat is dragging behind. I have to, yeah. Pop that chat out. Are you guys hanging okay chat room wise? You guys, my chat's not moving for some reason, so. It must be really complicated to broadcast the show. WCPT. It did. I think that was because of the app that I used to connect to them kicking off. Apologize for that, guys. I got to reload this page. See if that does it. It's been acting weird. Hopefully that'll bring it back up. There we go.
15 seconds.
Thank you. Oh, there it goes. Okay, good. Chat's moving again. It was acting wonky.
This is Tom Hartman, and you're listening to the Hal Sparks radio program, mega worldwide on Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT.
So, boy, there's a lot of legal tap dancing going on in William Barr's press conference. If you haven't read it or watched it, I highly recommend it. But he repeats the trademark no collusion phrase for Donald Trump several times, which the Mueller report does not say any more than any indictment or reference documents from a DA says that someone is innocent or, not guilty of something. They essentially say we don't have enough evidence to prosecute in some cases, or they go, we do, but we have unreliable witnesses, and we believe that the cost to indict on this level is not worth it, and that we chose not to go forward because of reason 3, 4, 5. So, one of the things that Barr says unequivocally is that no American participated in the illegal activities willingly or unwillingly. Not just people in the Trump campaign, but no American. Okay. First of all, because of the spearphishing attacks, that's just materially not true. There's a lot of people who unwillingly participated in the Russian hacking. You can argue Facebook's involvement qualifies as both, because Facebook, on the one hand, whether you believe their story or not, let's say they unwillingly allowed Russian fake social pages that pretended to be related to Black Lives Matter, that pretended to be related to feminism, that pretended to be related to Second Amendment rights organizations, or even the Trump campaign, or other Republican candidates, right? So Facebook unwillingly participated in this. They also posted political ads paid for in rubles. So at what point does that not qualify as willingly participating in what the Russians were doing? So it's just an absurdity. That, on its face, that's just a ridiculous sweeping statement that has no basis in reality. So here's a good example, I think, of right away in the Mueller report that has to do with everybody in Illinois, everyone who's listening on WCPT radio or within the sound of my voice in Illinois, and a few other states too, but specifically it comes up in the report. This is from page 50 of the breakdown of the Russian interference campaign in the American election system. So, Section 2, intrusions targeting the administration of U.S. elections, not social media, not creating fake Twitter accounts. Intrusions targeting the administration, the carrying out of U.S. elections. In addition to targeting individuals involved in the Clinton campaign, GRU officers also targeted individuals and entities involved in the administration of elections. Victims included U.S. state and local entities, such as state boards of election, secretaries of state, and county governments, as well as individuals who worked for those entities. The GRU also targeted private technology firms responsible for manufacturing and administering election-related software and hardware, such as voter registration software and electronic polling stations. Everybody blames the media for why the polls were off. The GRU continued to target these victims throughout the elections in November 2016. While the investigation identified evidence that the GRU targeted these individuals and entities, the office did not investigate further. For instance, obtain or examine servers or other relevant items belonging to these victims. So under the mandate from the Department of Justice, they were not able to seize servers from state houses, secretaries of state, any of that stuff. They were not able to do forensic work on these servers. But they do have the code, and they didn't get to do a mirrored version of the entire thing and go through it line by line, but they were given evidence by the secretaries of state and the DNC and the DCCC and state election boards that said, hey, this is the hack, here's where it came in, this is the code. I'm not quite sure why people would think, if you're getting really conspiratorial, why the State Board of Election in Florida, for example, would give false information to Mueller about being hacked. Yeah. So, by at least the summer of 2016, GRU officers sought access to state and local computer networks by exploiting known software vulnerabilities on websites of state and local governmental entities. GRU officers, for example, targeted state and local database of registered voters using a technique known as SQL injection, by which malicious code was sent to the state or local website in order to run commands, such as exfiltrating the database contents, meaning pulling all the voter registration data off the website. So, like, the idea that, our elections weren't messed with is insanity. In one instance, in approximately June 2016, the GRU compromised the computer network of the Illinois State Board of Elections by exploiting a vulnerability in the SBOE's website. The GRU then gained access to a database containing information on millions of registered Illinois voters and extracted data related to thousands of U.S. voters before the malicious activity was identified. So let's just be abundantly clear that what Mueller found in terms of what was going on with the Russians messing with our elections was not just a bunch of Facebook ads. It was not a situation where it was, minor, attempted influence campaigns. Simply the use of, bad-mouthing Hillary, uplifting Trump. They did a ton of that. They did an amazing amount of that. They spent most of their time online by volume boosting Trump and creating Hillary myths. And they took, by the way, look at all the people who think Hillary should be dead from some sort of brain disorder right now and unable to walk. Pizzagate itself was boosted by these maniacs nonstop to give the illusion that a bunch more people believed it. So, let's just push that aside entirely. Can we not even pretend that what he said came anywhere near being true? What William Barr said about no Trump campaign personnel or any American willingly or unwillingly aided in the Russian interference in our election is flat out, obviously, abundantly, clearly, and dangerously false. And it boggles my mind because I don't even know why he would say that if he just wanted to clear Trump. Like, this isn't what William Barr said on Thursday morning at 9:30 was not just about clearing Trump. It was about clearing Russia as well. Because while it admits that Russia may have attempted to do it, but in context, a bunch of people try to mess with us, and they didn't really get to do anything, and they weren't really, it was just a bunch of Facebook ads, right? No, it wasn't. They hacked into the Illinois State Board of Elections database and downloaded every piece of data on registered voters in the state and tangentially related to the state that they could before they were discovered. It does not say how long it took for them to be discovered. How long? Minutes? Seconds? How long does it take to download a text file? Even as large as that. Seconds. So the idea that they found out the next morning, it's an absurdity. So this idea that we got to take a break. When we come back, we're going to dive into this because not only is the no obstruction part of what Trump is saying obviously and a flagrant lie. It's ridiculous. Read the second volume if you have any question about, if you think I'm taking any of this out of context, If you think I'm nitpicking, you can literally play roulette with this report. Just put it on your iPad and just flick it, and it will land on a crime committed by this president or the people around him that he was for a long time claiming were the good people. They were great people until he didn't know them anymore. We'll be back. It's the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide, on WCPT Radio, Chicago's Progressive Talk. I mean, honestly, guys, Mr. Hal, is it on the website or for YouTube? The report itself, you can see it on a bunch of places. New York Times has it up. NPR. I got my copy off of NPR. But the Justice, if you think there's differences, if you're the New York Times are fake news, I don't trust the Mueller report. They probably redacted the redactions and added stuff. Go get it off justice.org. Or .gov, rather. Justice.gov, the website of the Department of Justice. Hi, Julie. Welcome. So jealous, Julie. Trolls are criminals. Some of them are. Some of them are just teenagers with nothing better to do. Yeah. There's so much of this in here. Make sure you download the searchable version. Then you can highlight and make comments using Adobe. Yeah, that's a good idea because I just downloaded the printed version of it. So that's why I'm scribbling all over it, which you will see in the upcoming segment. It looks like this. This is me running through and just circling big chunks of it as I read it. So we'll get to that soon enough. Oh yeah, it's 4:20. Try to stay focused at least till after the show. Wait till it's afternoon to get. Well, it might be afternoon where you are. Tom Hartman has a link on his site. Add /Mueller to the end of his site. All versions should be searchable. Cool. Rachel's doing a color-coded section. I'm only on page 227 of volume 2. Well, you're almost to the end. Can we have a contest of questions to ask Mueller for congressional hearings? Yeah, he needs to do one of those BuzzFeed hangouts. The latest excuse from Greenwald is that Trump wanted to kill the investigation because he knew it was BS, so he was trying to avoid being slandered, of course, as you do. Glenn Greenwald is a cretin. And Edward Snowden, whom we have not heard from in quite a while, is stuck in Russia because of Glenn Greenwald. And Glenn Greenwald and thank you. And Julian Assange both dodged, any trouble about what they were doing and threw people like Reality Winner and Chelsea Manning under the bus to do it. It's a joke. There was some good news though. Jimmy Dore got kicked off TYT's network this week. They're selling it as an amicable split, but no.
This is Doris Davenport, host of the Doris Davenport Show, all local, all the time. I'm on every Saturday morning from 10 to 11, right before Hal Sparks.
It's true.
Now let's get back to Hal Sparks' radio program, Mega Worldwide.
It's a good idea. And by the way, follow Doris on Instagram if you want to get a look at some of the guests that she has on. It's ICU Davenport. Letter I, letter C, letter U. And I can't seem to escape the name Davenport in my life. It's interesting. I find that curious. Okay, so let's dive into this, shall we? And for those of you that are listening at home and I mean, there's too much here for even the show today. Even if I do, avoid taking calls, there's so much in this to unpack in a 2-hour show. It will be nearly impossible. But the day it came out on Thursday, I did, and you can go to my YouTube page, there is a Mueller special report, and I broke down a big portion of these pieces in this thing right away, the parts that jumped out at me that day, and then I've been digesting it since and going through more. And it is increasingly obvious that William Barr was acting as a disassembly artist and was essentially, is not even a lawyer for the White House, but a PR rep for the White House. This is all messaging. So, and here's a good example of what is Trump's big thing. It's over. The witch hunt hoax is over. It's all over, and it was a failure, and I won. That's all you need to know. I won. I didn't read it, but I won. And it's over, and no collusion, no obstruction. This is the sales point. This is, and if you believe that, by the way, you also believe Coke is light, and milk it does a body good, and Gatorade has electrolytes because it's what plants crave. So let's look at the idea that this is over. So on a bunch of these pages, there are several reasons for things being redacted. One of them's grand jury testimony, or grand jury techniques, or investigative techniques, or one of the ones that comes up is which is HOM, harm to ongoing matter. Ongoing seems to be antonymous to over. If it's over, then clearly it would not be ongoing. And huge sections of this are ongoing. Okay? And right out of the gate, this gives an example that this ongoing stuff isn't just, all WikiLeaks and Julian Assange, or related to, Gates's sentencing that's coming up, or even the Roger Stone stuff. This part, Michael Cohen, former executive vice president of the Trump organization, who, Trump didn't know very well, is a terrible person, but he's weak and obviously a liar. That's why I hired him for decades. And special counsel to Donald J. Trump told the office that he recalled an incident in which he was in candidate Trump's office in Trump Tower and redacted harm to ongoing matter. Cohen further told the office after WikiLeaks' subsequent release of stolen DNC emails in July 2016, candidate Trump said to Cohen something to the effect of harm to ongoing matter. So they're not just cutting out stuff from other people. This is stuff Trump said. There's an ongoing investigation that relates to Donald Trump's language and what he is saying as a human being in this. And then more harm to ongoing matter. According to Gates, Manafort expressed excitement about the release harm. Manafort, for his part, told the office that shortly after WikiLeaks' July 22nd release, Manafort also spoke with candidate Trump and harm to ongoing matter. Manafort also wanted to be, and I'm going to guess the words there. This is me going out on a limb. Under this little harm piece right here, Manafort also said Trump wanted to be kept appraised of any developments with WikiLeaks, and separately told Gates to keep in touch about future WikiLeaks releases. So this idea that that this is over for Trump even is absurd. The Congress looking into his Deutsche Bank money issues and them subpoenaing the grand jury testimony and inviting Mueller down to speak, both in private and in public. In all of these circumstances, there is a clear reference to Donald Trump being involved in ongoing exchanges. Now, again, one of the big assertions that was made was that no one in the campaign, no one involved with the campaign, and no American, willingly or unwillingly, sought to collude with Russia or was colluding with Russia or anything collusion. Which is obviously not true as well. In the breakdown of their investigation into the segment on the search for Hillary's alleged 33,000 deleted emails, which I'm pretty sure is turtle porn with Mitch McConnell's face stuck over it, and they thought best to erase that before they try to work with them if they won the election. The one of the, the sum that comes up about this part of the seeking out the emails where Mike Flynn was tasked with the idea of go find the 30,000 emails, and everybody at that point thought, well, obviously Russia has them. If anybody on our side of this equation has them, it's gonna be Russia. So they sent several people out. Flynn talked to 6 or so people that he wanted to have go look at it, including this guy Peter Smith, who is now dead. And at the base of that one, it said, and this one ties into this harm to ongoing matter issue that recurs. In sum, the investigation established that the GRU hacked into email accounts of persons affiliated with the Clinton campaign, as well as the computers of the DNC and DCCC. The GRU then exfiltrated data related to the 2016 election from these accounts and computers and disseminated that data through the fictitious online personas DC Leaks and Guccifer 2.0, and later through WikiLeaks. The investigation also established that the Trump campaign displayed interest in the WikiLeaks releases and that harm to ongoing matter. As explained in Volume 1, Section VB Infra, the evidence was sufficient to support computer intrusion and other charges against GRU officers in their role in the election-related hacking. Now, one of the things that keeps coming up with this Barr nonsense is that he believes that, nobody in the campaign had any connection to Russia whatsoever. None of them tried to reach out to Russia. Well, that's because what they did was they talked to people who were not officially with the campaign, paid through another source. And those sources went and got in contact with Russia. All the while, by the way, complaining about Christopher Steele talking to Russians, which was, as an investigator seeking this information, he was paid by Fusion GPS to form this. And then, calm down, Siri. That's super weird. I don't know why it's it. Siri, be quiet. No. That's super weird. I guess I accidentally asked for a review of something. That was super funny. Let's take a break. And then when we come back, there's the relation between Mike Flynn and the half dozen people he sent out looking to talk to Russia about getting the Clinton emails, and Felix Sater and Michael Cohen attempting to carry out the Trump Tower Moscow repeatedly throughout the campaign, to the point where Michael Cohen actually said to Trump as he walked off stage at one point, you said we don't have any deals with Russia. You just said we don't have any deals with Russia, and that's not true, Mr. Trump, because technically, as your lawyer, I need to tell you that, technically speaking, we do have a deal. And Trump goes, well, it's not on paper yet. We haven't signed a deal, so we don't have a deal. So they were dealing, and then the deal got scuttled because they got caught. And that's what protected, Trump. That was his plausible deniability. I don't have any deals in Russia. You guys screwed up the whole thing. I had a deal, and then you blew it. Now,
Where's my money?
So, it just gets weirder. We'll be back. It's the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide on WCPT Radio, Chicago's Progressive Talk. Again, can somebody explain why you would believe William Barr immediately? Sight unseen. You suckers. We'll be back. Says who? That's a good Cohen. Thank you, Michelle. Says who? Mr. Trump. What happens with the German bank? Will we see the links and why they loaned him money? Yes. That's going to be the dirtiest part of that. And I project beginning of June. Yeah. I use an assault rifle to hunt Easter eggs. That's weird. All right. Bought a $4 million property from Trump in 95 million. So, yeah, totally. That's just laundering. That's obvious. But again, as soon as Barr came in, he started narrowing the scope of the entire investigation. That was the whole shtick. There's some of this. Here's the thing, though. Some of this is so flagrant. They have to suspect that nobody in Trump's base is going to read the report. They have to be counting on the idea that they're just going to take Barr and Trump's word for it, that tweets will be enough, and that's the end of the conversation. Because it is so obvious. Like there are dozens, and again, his language is so sweeping. Like it doesn't. There's no room for ambiguity about it. That's why I pulled these little these clips and these chunks that are fairly substantial. And again, I recommend anybody who questions that I'm pulling any of this stuff out of context, the hard part is isolating it down to a smaller piece. Because it just
10 seconds.
Oh, thank you. It's just, there are whole pages of, oh my God. And trying to find just, the bite that can make the whole thing, that kind of sums it up, is really difficult. Yes, I do play piano. Never had a lesson, though.
Now back to the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide, 773-763-9278.
So, again, William Barr. Nobody in the Trump campaign, nobody associated with the Trump administration. And by the way, it's funny how he threads the needle so thinly with the Trump campaign, where he says nobody in the campaign engaged with the Russian government in any of their illegal hacking endeavors. Well, nobody's ever claimed that. Nobody thinks that some 90s movie about hackers that, Don Jr. was, standing over the shoulder of a Russian, college student, played by Alan Cummings, going, "We're in, I am invincible." Nobody thought that for a second. Nobody thought that they helped with the hacking, but they coordinated with the release. That's the whole point. That is the entire the Trump the Trump campaign, and then the Trump administration in through the transition was coordinating with Russians that were linked to the Russian government constantly. They were setting up back channels. They were attempting to get their messages in line. They were offering, relationship advice, essentially, to Putin. Don't get mad at Obama. We'll fix it when we get in. Subverting the sitting president because they were coming in. Because they had a deal going on to build a Trump Tower Moscow. And the problem with the Trump Tower Moscow issue is they're going to break ground on that sucker the day he leaves office. Just because you're not selling the building and making the deal while you're sitting there is absurd. How many gangsters went to jail, kept their mouth shut, stayed in for 6 years, and got a payoff from the mob when they came out to set them up for being a good, for doing their time? What, does anybody live under the illusion that kind of stuff doesn't happen? And what's the pay scale? $250 million? Would you suck it up and take a bunch of abuse like this and pretend to support right-wing white nationalists, and they're good people on both sides, and catch hell and basically sow chaos in the American system for a couple of years so you could walk away with a $500 million paycheck, especially when you're a phony billionaire and you know you're going to lose your business license in New York because of what you're getting caught doing? Please. So, okay. So let's take a look, shall we? At the idea presented by William Barr that no one related to the campaign had any contact with Russians in any way, and no American, willingly or unwillingly, helped the Russians interfere in our elections. That is the assertion by the sitting Attorney General of the United States. And he is making that assertion based on the Mueller report. This is, by the way, if he said, we did our own internal review, we think they're mistaken, our findings were blah, I would have nothing to say to that because A, I wouldn't know what their evidence was, and I wouldn't know how it compared to the Mueller stuff, and they could make this back and forth case. But he's not making that case. AG Barr is making the case that that's what the Mueller report says. He's saying the Mueller report says this, okay? So check this out. Between November 18th and 2015, Klokoff and Cohen had at least one telephone call and exchanged several emails describing himself in emails to Cohen as, quote, a trusted person who could offer the campaign political synergy and synergy on a government level in Russia. Klokoff recommended that Cohen travel to Russia to speak with him and an unidentified intermediary. Klokoff said that those conversations could facilitate a later meeting in Russia between the candidate and an individual Klokoff described as, quote, our person of interest. Our person of interest. In an email to the office, Urchova later identified the person of interest as Russian President Vladimir Putin. Like, they didn't even wait. They outwardly say, it's not like, oh, the person of interest is, Gadamnikov, this dude who runs part of a oil drilling thing in Siberia who's married to the half-cousin of Vladimir Putin, therefore bank shot. The dude's going to have him sit down with Vladimir Putin on the down low, not as president, but to help him get elected. In the telephone call and follow-up emails with Klokoff, Cohen discussed his desire to use a near-term trip to Russia to do site surveys and talk over the Trump-Moscow project with local developers. Cohen registered his willingness also to meet with Klokoff and the unidentified intermediary, but was emphatic that all meetings in Russia involving him or candidate Trump, including a possible meeting between candidate Trump and Putin, would need to be, quote, in conjunction with the development of an official visit with the Trump organization receiving a formal invitation to visit. Klokoff had written previously that the visit by candidate Trump was to be informal, because the Russians don't support Trump. They support chaos in the U.S. system, and they want our election system to fall apart and people's belief in democracy to collapse. They don't actually like the guy, and clearly, Putin has no respect for Donald Trump. Period. On this one, like, there's tons of stuff on Papadopoulos and Lewandowski. And again, it goes to this idea of Barr's constant, like, he repeatedly in his little no collusion press conference says again and again, no American, no one in the Trump campaign had any, involvement, willing or unwilling, with Russia's meddling in our elections. On June 1st, 2016, Papadopoulos replied to an earlier email chain with Lewandowski about a Russia visit, asking if Lewandowski wanted to have a call about the topic and whether we were following up on it, after Lewandowski told Papadopoulos to connect with Clovis because he was running point. Papadopoulos emailed Clovis that the Russian MFA was asking that if Mr. Trump is interested in visiting Russia at some point. Papadopoulos wrote in an email that he, quote, wanted to pass this info along to you for you to decide what's best to do with it and what message I should send or to ignore. After several email and Skype exchanges with Timofeyev, Papadopoulos sent one more email to Lewandowski on June 19, 2016, Lewandowski's last day as campaign manager. The email stated that the Russian Ministry of Foreign Affairs has contacted him and asked, and he's still working for the campaign, asked whether, and he's talking to Lewandowski when he's still working for the campaign, even on the day Lewandowski was kicked to the curb, and asked whether, if Mr. Trump could not travel to Russia, a campaign representative such as Papadopoulos could attend meetings. Papadopoulos told Lewandowski that he was, quote, willing to make the trip off the record if it's in the interest of Mr. Trump and the campaign to meet specific people. Following Lewandowski's departure from the campaign, well, you think, oh, well, then that's clear. Lewandowski got fired. Papadopoulos was no longer with them. So at that point, these guys aren't campaign guys that are working and Papadopoulos isn't talking to the campaign anymore, right? No, after that, Papadopoulos communicated with Clovis and Walid Faris, another member of the foreign policy advisory team for Trump at the time, working on the campaign, about an off-the-record meeting between the campaign and the Russian government officials, or with Papadopoulos' other Russian connections, Mifsud and Timofeyev. So this idea that there was no interaction that had to do with it is an absurdity. Clearly, there was a bunch of back and forth. There, literally, like, Papadopoulos, check this out, took notes. If you look right here, in September, have an exploratory meeting or lose in September if allowed, they will blast Mr. Trump. We want the meeting in London or England. Walid, Sam, me are going to the meeting. No official letter, no message from Trump. He drew a box around that. Look, it's got to be on the download. Nothing official. They're talking us. It's a lot of risk. Office of Putin. Explore. We are a campaign. Off Israel, Egypt. Willingness to meet with FM, SP with Walid and Sam. FM coming. Useful to have a session with him. Throughout this, there are multiple examples where they are constantly setting up these underground channels with Russia. And again, some of the stuff during the transition around Mike Flynn, people are like, why did he didn't break a law? Why was he lying about it? Because if he told the truth about what he was doing during the transition, it would also point to the conversations that he had had. He was actually following up on conversations he had when he was it was illegal for him to do so during the campaign. That's why. We got to take a break, and we're going to take some calls too. 773-763-9278. Tell me why you believe William Barr. Anybody out there? Why you think that guy who said that Oliver North deserved a pardon, that everybody involved in Iran-Contra deserved a pardon. You believe that guy's account. What is wrong with you? We'll be back. It's the Hal Sparks Radio program, Mega Worldwide on WCPT Radio, Chicago's Progressive Talk. I'm amazed. It is literally there. Check this out, guys. There's a whole section here called Trump Campaign Knowledge of Dirt. And they're not talking about the Motley Crue movie. I got to wait until that page loads again. Load up. There it is. Papadopoulos admitted telling at least one individual outside of the campaign, specifically the then Greek foreign minister, about Russia's obtaining Clinton-related emails. About Russia doing it. Again, this is the debatable part, right? This is the part they're always saying, well, it's not Russia. Some dude on some guy in his basement, or the Chinese, or WikiLeaks is denying that it came from Russia. How? Because he looks like John Goodman, Blues Brother. I think he actually. That page number is page 93 of Volume 1. But I will going forward. It's a good idea. I wish I knew what you're talking about. That's okay. Follow along. We're just reading through the Mueller report and looking at it, and basically I'm calling BS on these morons, and that's what you would have to be to believe William Barr right out of the gate. Well, I mean, Ari Melber, man, the day of, well, guys, put a pin in it. This whole thing's done. Bro, yo. It's like the RZA said on, his third album with Gangster DMA, ain't no there. So you just gotta... Okay, so how about this? Guys, I will roll back since we're in a break, and I'll show you where some of the page numbers are. There we go. That's the Buddy Our Boy Can Become President. I got to get back to that one. Page 65 of Volume 1 is the piece where referencing Peter Smith going to look for the GRU hacked emails, knowing full well that WikiLeaks and DC Leaks had them because the Russians got them. They know. So that's page 65. Then this is a good page. This is a good section where I gotta wait for it to update on my page. I can never tell when it goes there. There we go. The harmed ongoing matter, harmed on. I mean, that if anything says this is over, it's an entire page blacked out, multiple pages blacked out with harmed ongoing matter. It's over. No collusion. Right. So here, we'll jump back to this piece, though. This is one of the big telling ones. So this is from page 53, which is in the case of, I got to grind this down, move around a little bit. I have to wait for it to update. The New York Post headline saying Trump was in the clear. Yeah. Oh yeah. It was an opinion piece. They put an opinion line on the front page because they want people to click on it. But yeah, so this is the Michael Cohen thing where they redact all the stuff that Trump says. So let's say Trump doesn't know anything about WikiLeaks. Really. He genuinely does not. Then
we're just under a minute and we have a couple of callers.
Great. Okay. So if Trump doesn't know anything about this part, then why is what he says the blacked out thing? Because that would just be an innocent person jibber jabbering to guilty parties. And Cohen's already been charged for what he's going for. So has Manafort. So has Gates. Everybody in this has either taken a plea deal or been found guilty already, and is going. So the ongoing matter would only relate to what Trump is saying. It would only relate to Trump's language. Looks like.
You're listening to the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide.
I've had people walk out of me before, but not when I was being so charming.
Video Also streaming at halsparks.com.
Well, I don't care for you or for the putrid sludge you're troweling out.
Damn puss-faced little pimp stick.
True progressive talk.
Might be a good time for you guys to give up.
Welcome back to the show. So before I dive into my next big diatribe about the chunks of this Mueller report that say the exact opposite of what William Barr said at his press conference. It's not that you can hash it two ways and it's, debatable what he said and that linguistically he's threading a very tight needle. It's not even that. It's that because he speaks so blatantly that no American, willingly or unwillingly, aided the Russians. By the way, a completely unknowable fact. In and of itself, just beyond the scope of whoever's there. But you certainly know that a lot of people in these hacking things, because they answered spear phishing emails or talked to someone that they thought was trustworthy and got information that they were taking was used later on to get into other organizations, both in companies that make voting machines and state boards of elections. It's clear that multiple people unwillingly affected our election by helping the Russians without knowing. So, blatant lie, just a large, broad brush fabrication to cover the fact that there were people who obviously willingly manipulated, and we can only need to go to, and I'm in danger of going down the rabbit hole again, and some people know this quote already, but it's confirmed in the Mueller findings with the when they're working on the Trump Moscow project, and Felix Sater emails Cohen from Russia, buddy, our boy can become president of the USA and we can engineer it. I will get all of Putin's team to buy in on this. I will manage this process. Michael, Putin gets on stage with Donald for a ribbon cutting for Trump Moscow, and Donald owns the Republican nomination and possibly beats Hillary, and our boy's in. We will manage this process better than anyone. You and I will get Donald and Vladimir on a stage together very shortly. That the game changer. After that, he also said Donald doesn't stare down. He negotiates and understands the economic issues, and Putin only wants to deal with a pragmatic leader, which is ridiculous, but okay, fine. And a successful businessman is a good candidate for someone who knows how to negotiate. Business, politics, whatever it is, it's all the same for someone who knows how to deal, which I think is a quote from Art of the Deal. Ugh. So again, this idea that nobody involved in the campaign or nobody involved in the Trump organization or nobody, no American willingly or unwillingly helped is repeatedly repudiated on every page of this. And again, so much has been made of the fact that, they can't clear him of obstruction. They say clearly in the tail of this. Well, let me take a call, and then I'll tell you my theory about how the Mueller team went after the collusion conspiracy issue, because I have a it looks like there was a very specific plan. So there you go. Well, when we who do we have first, Lady B, on the line?
We have Ike.
Oh, right on. What's happening, Ike? Welcome.
Hey, brother. I think probably the smoking gun for me is when they got to the planks in the Republican platform, and Manafort had that one jerked for standing up to Putin about Crimea. That was the first sign that they were doing Putin's business, among others. But that one right there, that to me is a smoking gun. But then beyond that, there's other things involved here. The one deal that he has done that I've been interested in. I really haven't heard it torn down or brought up in the media as much. Is that deal he got into in Azerbaijan, where they said that basically, there was Iranian Revolutionary Guard money involved in
right,
that
the big vagina building.
A lot of money through
right.
there.
Yeah.
That's something to bring to light. But here's the overall message for the Democrats: pull your thumbs out of your butts. Quit being so scared. Remember this: it's comprehensive immigration reform. That's what we're after.
Right.
It's not as simple as just building a wall. Okay. We want to fix the system, but we want to fix it all, not just a part of it.
That's right.
Okay. Guns. There's a war on guns. Illegal gun owners start getting 10, 15, 20 years. A hard time for possessing weapons that they're not supposed to have. If they're a criminal and they stole a weapon, if they use one in a crime, we're going to give you 5, 10, 20 years just for having the weapon.
I would also recommend a wellness visit for anybody who's stockpiling ammo. It's really obvious and easy. Like anybody, and it doesn't even have to go arrest them. You're like, dude, we just, we noticed you're buying 50,000 rounds of ammo and you haven't been to the gun range that much. And you don't own one.
Point,
just a wellness visit. We're just making sure you're good. You okay? You feeling all right?
It's like that. Yeah, it's like that meme that I've got. It says, I don't understand it. I've got to sign and show my ID to buy a box of Sudafed, but yet I can go to a gun store and I can buy thousands of rounds of ammunition and nobody asks me a thing.
Right.
Also, too, when it comes to abortion, we need to stand up and make it clear. We're for a woman's right to choose, but we're also for common sense things that we can do in society, such as Planned Parenthood and availability of birth control methods to cut the abortion rate down, because the pregnancy rate will get cut down.
Right.
Accidental pregnancies and people that can't handle it, that's where we get into trouble. And,
Well, and also shore up the adoption and the foster system so that it is more reliable and safe and more verified, so that when somebody is making the tough choice of putting a child up for adoption, they don't have to go, oh my God, I'm putting them into this system where they're just going to be abused. Am I going to bring a child in the world that I can't take care of, but I'm going to send them off to physical and sexual abuse? And that goes through people's minds. Like, think of the storylines you hear about foster care in any television show. Literally, I can't count on both hands the number of people, Criminal Minds episodes that are about people who were raised in foster care.
I've got some personal experience of that. My late ex-wife, she went into the foster system and wound up being sexually abused. So I understand that, and that's also a good point. But I guess the big message is no, we can't fit our stuff on a bumper sticker. Where we can, we will. But we have to make people understand that the simple-minded approaches to these problems, including the Green Deal, which is a good example, that's not a simple-minded approach. Those are big ideas. We're the party of big ideas. We don't want to, we're not one to, the days of doing Band-Aids, much like climate change, the days of doing Band-Aid fixes here are not going to cut it anymore.
Right.
And we're not going to be the party of just Band-Aids. We're not the party of Band-Aids. We're the party of the big fix. And that's what we want to be.
I agree. To your point, I would like to say, I think one of the smartest moves that will dissipate some of the, all the Democrats are about is impeachment idea that might be floating around right now. I think the best thing they can probably do is push it through the comprehensive immigration reform bill with an attempt to get Trump to sign it. Try to get it passed by the Senate. It will pass the House because they have a majority. They should take up that comprehensive immigration bill that's been floating around for a long time, committee it, and pass it, because that in and of itself would be a game changer And it would eliminate the whole "we believe in open borders" nonsense and the scare tactic that Trump's trying to put forward. And within it would have like minor border protections, physical barriers, and he can claim they gave me a little money for my wall, but they just want airports, security, and dogs. Like he'll whine about it, but everybody else in the entire system and everybody who's affected by it, workers who get undercut by all these, by people coming here and working undocumented, those people will know. They won't be stupid about that. And I think the Democrats need to do that ASAP.
Right. And lastly, as far as the impeachment angle goes, I want these committees to get these boys, get the defense attorney, what's his name, Barr.
Yeah.
The defense attorney for Trump, get Barr in front of him May 2nd. Let's have public hearings, get Don Jr., get them all these people that lied underneath the Republicans when they were questioned,
right.
Get them out here in public, and let's put it out there and then build it. And then at that point, once everything's laid bare as much as possible, then we build the impeachment and send it to the Senate. And if they sit on their hands, well, history will just show that they've been doing it all along, which really, to be honest with you, I'd like to see the Republicans in the Senate charged for obstruction of justice themselves. Oh, and by the way, one other thing. Would somebody please tell me, to this day, I still don't understand. Last July 4th, what were all those Republicans doing in Moscow?
Yeah. I'll tell you exactly what they were doing. They were shoring up their election chances in the next cycle. And the same, look, Mitch McConnell just got $1 million from a Russian oligarch. Like Deripaska
just went in $100 million on a big aluminum smelting plant in
Kentucky, right? Yeah, and now
tell me there ain't no payoff there,
it's a payoff and a hostage, because now they can they can shut it down. If they decide later on that they don't want to. And by the way, an aluminum plant is a great way to pollute rivers and streams, for the record. So and Kentucky has enough bad water problems because of the Virginia coal mines and the West Virginia coal mines. That like the amount of toxicity in Kentucky rivers and streams because of that the state does nothing about is maddening. Like, as a Kentucky, we got to take a break. I appreciate it, Ike, man. It's always good to hear from you. And I think the big push has to be for that comprehensive immigration bill, because if they start shoveling that through, and the Senate the Republicans have to push back on that and the normal act of inquiry. Just the hearings. Don't put impeachment on the table. Just start having, we need to talk to Mueller. We just want to make sure all the T's are crossed. That's all we need to do. We're not going to impeach the president. We're just going to look at this stuff and make sure we're getting to see all of it. So appreciate it, Ike. We'll be back right after this. The Hal Sparks Radio program, Mega Worldwide, and I'll give you my theory that I was speaking of earlier. Nice job, Ike. Appreciate it, brother. I do indeed get you. What's more American than destroying your environment because jobs pride? Oh, we're not the only one who does it, Amy. Don't lay that at the feet of America. As a matter of fact, we do more about it than a lot of countries, especially industrial countries. The irony, it's just we have a volume of stuff. It's a human thing, and that's why you need managed government and a populace that's aware. You need an educated, critically thinking populace, and you need a government that is concerned with proper management. Hal, when is the press going to look at the RNC money flows? Next to never, unfortunately. Canada's about to become an even bigger polluter. Like, we're dwarfed by India and China anyways. Take a look at what Nigeria does to river pollution related to crude oil dumping. Well, exactly, Carl. And, you and I talked about that. Why are you frowning, Noctis? It's okay. You'll be fine. Don't frown. I mentioned before, I'm sure you've heard me talk about it, the guy from BP who said, "I wish I could go back to my normal life." And during the BP spill in the Gulf, and everybody was like, "What a psycho! How out of touch is this guy?" And then if you pay attention, the guys he hangs around with are the guys from Chevron and ExxonMobil and all those leads. And ExxonMobil dumps the same amount of oil that ended up in the Gulf from that spill into the Congo every year since forever. So all that oil that was in the Gulf that we were freaking out about and we spent billions of dollars to clean up immediately, that's America, by the way. We have the resources and we use them. We bail out companies to do it, but we effectively do the cleanup because it matters to us. Not in the Congo. We can't.
Now back to the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide,
So
773-763-9278.
So one of the fun parts of the Barr press conference, where he unleashed the new ad campaign for Trump 2020, was when he said the president has fully cooperated. Right? Again, sweeping statements, no collusion, fully cooperated. Right? He didn't say the president's been very cooperative. He didn't say the president cooperated with. He said the president fully cooperated. Here's the thing, guys. If you're going to lie, be more artful. Let me give you a couple of examples of how the president did not fully cooperate. So I got to stretch this guy out. I'll shrink it down a little bit. Whoops, hold on. Oh, look at that. That's me exercising. Hold on. That's a different picture. Hold on. I stored all these. Hold on. I got to bring this up. Stop it. Where is it? There it is. Okay. That was follow me on Instagram. You don't have to see it. Okay, wait. Oh, it's the wrong page anyways. Here we go. There we go. Statutory and constitutional defenses. This is on, I forget which page this was on. I apologize. These are pictures I snapped. The President's Counsel, Rudy Giuliani, and maybe McGahn, but definitely Giuliani and the rest of these guys, raised statutory and constitutional defenses to a possible obstruction of justice analysis of the conduct we investigated. Like, you can't even look in the trunk when you hear thumping and screaming. So, like, that's the defense. So again, this is Trump's pulled over for drunk driving. Rudy Giuliani is also drunken in the passenger seat going, "Officer, I'm a lawyer. You do not have a warrant. You cannot look into... You cannot look in that trunk." The Mueller team pushed back on that directly, saying, "We concluded that none of those legal defenses provided a basis for declining the investigative facts." Now, the other one that comes up, and this was particularly fascinating to me, was this comes up around the firing of Comey and almost every other activity, is that the president repeatedly says, and I got to broaden the cropping out on this so you guys can read the rest of it. There it is. The president repeatedly says, he basically is quoting Richard Nixon saying, "Well, if the president does it, then it is not illegal." Because the idea that because the president oversees the Department of Justice, the president is justice. He is justice. You can't break the law when you are the law. It's the Judge Dredd defense, right? And the Mueller team heard those assertions in the press, heard those assertions from Donald Trump walking to and from helicopters, heard it from Rudy Giuliani, ignored it, and provided in the Mueller report a direct response to that very concept. The idea that the president cannot break the law because he's doing something that is legal within his duties is not the case. Okay, here it is. An improper motive can render an actor's conduct criminal even when the conduct would otherwise be lawful within the actor's authority. See United States v. Cueto, affirming obstruction conviction of a criminal defense attorney for litigation-related conduct. United States v. Chintolo, any act by any party, whether lawful or unlawful on its face, may abridge if performed with a corrupt motive. So, again, this goes to the Comey firing. I should have fired Comey right away. Everybody hated Comey. When I came into office, Comey was there. Yeah, but you didn't. You didn't fire him. You kept him around. You asked him to help you out, go easy on Flynn. You attempted to persuade him to dial back the investigation. And then when he didn't, you fired him. That's what makes it illegal. Any act by any party, whether lawful or unlawful on its face, may abridge Section 1503 if performed with a corrupt motive. Done. End of argument. So then there's the other one, like, there's no obstruction in this. They found that there was no instances, nothing in their points of complete exoneration, right? We'll get to the complete exoneration storyline. Here's your complete exoneration. Here's a subsection B of their appendix says investigative and evidentiary considerations. This isn't all of it, by the way. What I'm showing on the live stream right now at infotainmentwars.com. If you, by the way, like and subscribe to the show. We're here every Saturday. The show is always challenging and always awesome. I'll give you that. And we have a wonderful group of people chatting, and I appreciate all the super chats. I didn't get to say thank you yet to some of you guys, and I greatly appreciate it. I will cover those in just a moment. But after the appointment of the special counsel, this office obtained evidence about the following events relating to potential issues of obstruction of justice involving the president. A, the president's January 2017 dinner with former FBI Director James Comey, in which the president reportedly asked for Comey's loyalty one day after the White House had been briefed by the DOJ on contacts between National Security Advisor Michael Flynn and the Russian ambassador. Again, remember what I said just a second ago about just because you're doing something that technically is part of your job legally doesn't mean it's not illegal if you did do it for an illegal purpose. The example I would give, you're a security guard. You are allowed, you are given a gun, and you are allowed to shoot people if they trespass on a particular property. This is your job. This is what you do. Legally, you have the right to do this. Then we find out that you shot someone on the grounds with your service revolver in the course of your duties. This person is dead. End of story. Hey, this is my job, man. I patrol these things. I saw an intruder. They wouldn't stop. I talked to them. They approached me. I feared for my life, and I killed them. And then we find out later on by looking through your phone records because of another related case or something you've got going on that you invited that person to your place of work after hours and told them to come in through a window because you didn't want them to be seen going through the front door. And when they did, you shot them. You are within your lawful duty as a security guard to shoot someone who is coming in through a window of the place that you work, unless your motive was murder because you set it up. Got it? The activity itself on its face is legal. The motive behind it and the intent and the conspiring behind the scenes to pull it off, all illegal. B, President's February 14th meeting with Comey in which the president reportedly asked Comey not to pursue an investigation of Flynn. That's adorable. The president skipped part of Valentine's Day he could have been spending with his wife to protect Mike Flynn. Oh, that's sweet. It's adorable. The president's private request to Comey to make public the fact that the president was not the subject of an FBI investigation and to lift what the president regarded as a cloud. By the way, all this time when Rudy Giuliani said the president is not a subject, I've talked to the special counsel's office, the president is not a subject. He is a subject. He's been a subject, and I will show you in just a moment. Oh, we got to take a break. I will show you after the break why we know this, because it's in there. The president is a subject of this investigation, was the entire time. All the while, the president and Rudy Giuliani were claiming he's not. Oy. Okay, we got to take a break. We'll be back. It's the Hal Sparks Radio program, Mega Worldwide on WCPT Radio, Chicago's Progressive Talk. The president called the director of national intelligence and the director of the National Security Agency and the CIA about the FBI Russia investigation. Told them to lay off investigating Russia. You know, stuff an innocent person does. It's insane. We'll be back. I agree, Carl, that that impeachment is part of the equation. I think you got to be more subtle about it, is all. I think you got to play some chess. You can't play checkers about this, because impeachment is such a specific word that you have to let the public. It's like how Obama handled Don't Ask, Don't Tell in gay marriage, is that effectively he said, you guys got to move the ball for me so to get the public ahead of him on the issue. And he did it on purpose. Innocent people always say I'm fucked when they find out they're being investigated. Yeah. The minute they find out they're being investigated, Hal Vickery, like the second they found out they were being investigated, that was, so hilarious. Let's see. I'll be back here in just a second. What was with 45 saying I'm finished? Yeah, he was talking about just the fact that they're looking at it into him. Exactly. For unclear, I completely agree. It has to be so much that the Republicans themselves are embarrassed by not calling for it themselves. It's the only way it'll work. Who will be the repoop hero? Yeah. Well, it's not going to be any of the ones we've counted on before. It's not going to be Mitt Romney, and it's not going to be Susan Collins. I mean, there's a room for Bill Weld or John Kasich over the next couple of months. 700 impeachment charges, do them in groups of 100. There's nothing the Republicans will be embarrassed enough to change. Yeah, but as a group, I agree. My niece watched Lab Rats. That's awesome. I hope she enjoyed it. Well, my name is in a theme song, so that's good. Just sit right back and you'll hear a tale, faithful trip. Scroll back through, so I'm not missing any. Donald loves tall men, but he fears them. Yeah. That's a lot of people. Yeah, sixes. That's a really good point. The number of times he said, I don't recall. What if they find all the Russian money that was given to the Republicans? Maybe then they will impeach? Only if those people get thrown out, essentially.
I'm Dick Kay from Back on the Beat, and here is the mega worldwide radio program with Hal Sparks.
Okay, so, like I was saying, remember the garbage about Trump fully complying? He fully complied, did he? Is that what he did? He fully complied? Is that what this is the story? You're gonna go with fully complied, right? This is your final answer. You don't want to phone a friend, William Barr? You don't want to, because obviously, in the Mueller report, and by the way, fully complied according to what? The report? Yeah, well, that's what you're saying. He's referencing the report. This is what the report says, right? Well, apparently not. We also sought, this is Mueller's team talking in the Mueller report, we also sought a voluntary interview with the president. After more than a year of discussion, the president declined to be interviewed. So they negotiated in bad faith for a year, Trump and his people, setting limits on this. We'll only talk about this. Well, you'll get 5 minutes. You have to narrow your questions to just this. And they eventually did written answers, of which, every single one of them he forgot or didn't remember details, which is what you say when you think someone else might have contradictory details to you. And that we'll get to, because, oh my God, the number of times he goes, like, I had the greatest memory in the whole world, best brain, I remember everything like a steel trap, I remember everything, I can remember all this. I don't even need a teleprompter. Only weak politicians use teleprompters. I never need one. He uses them all the time now that he's president. But whatever. Yeah. We'll get to how many times he said, I don't recall, and how obviously they're about things where, if you were that person, if you were him in that situation and you didn't do these things, it would be really clear. It would be really obvious to you. It's one of those things like, what did you have for lunch 2 Wednesdays ago? 2 Wednesdays ago. That's rough or whatever. I don't really recall. Okay. During lunch on any Wednesday, did you rob a bank? I don't recall. That's the equivalent of what he's talking about. Okay. So they redact because of grand jury testimony. During the course of our discussions, the president did agree to answer written questions on certain Russia-related topics, and he provided us with answers. He did not similarly agree to provide written answers to questions on obstruction topics or questions on events during the transition. So the president only answered questions about certain, quote-unquote, Russia-related topics during the campaign. He answered nothing about events that happened during the transition and nothing about his actions regarding obstruction. He would not answer. He would not basically have a Mueller sit down like he did with Lester Holt. Ultimately, while we believe that we had the authority and legal justification to issue a grand jury subpoena to obtain the president's testimony, we chose not to do so. We made that decision in view of the substantial delay that such an investigative step would likely produce at a late stage in our investigation. We also assessed that based on the significant body of evidence we had already obtained of the president's actions and his public and private statements describing and explaining those actions, this whole Trump-Russia thing is a made-up hoax. So I thought to myself, fire Comey. We had sufficient evidence to understand relevant events and to make certain assessments without the president's testimony. The office's decision-making process on this issue is described in more detail in Appendix C infra in a note that precedes the president's written responses, which, for the record, are delicious. I think we have another caller. Let me grab that person real quick before I go down another rabbit hole. Who do we have, Lady B?
We have Todd.
Oh, excellent. Hey, Todd, welcome.
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm good. Go ahead.
Hey, I just want to throw a theory out there that I think that's going to happen. Mm-hmm. 2 things I'd like to discuss, this whole Mueller report, and then second, the Green New Deal. So with the Mueller report, nothing's going to happen. Nothing's going to happen at all. It's going to go ahead. Trump's going to get reelected. It's going to continue to go ahead. You guys are going to go ahead and try and beat this down. And
You
he's going to
guys.
get reelected.
You guys?
Yeah, I'm a Trump supporter.
Yeah, you'd have to be. But so okay,
That's what's
you
gonna
guys.
happen. It's not-
Okay,
he's
okay,
gonna-
but
how's he gonna
hold.
get-
Let me ask you one question
not
though.
gonna
That's
get-
fine. Okay, that's fine. Let me ask you one question though. Do you think, based on the parts that I've read of the Mueller report and the details therein, which are not refuted by William Barr, they are just ignored, that the president deserves another term?
Yes.
Okay, why?
Because I don't believe all the nonsense that you guys are talking right now. I just don't.
What
You guys are
nonsense?
taking a
What
spin on
nonsense?
it. You're
Give me
taking a-
something.
you're taking a
What?
whole spin-
What
you're taking a
nonsense?
Hold on. You're taking a whole spin on this whole thing. You're reading this part, that part, and everything you've been talking about. I'm just sitting there.
Is it not available to you? Can you not read it yourself?
Hold on.
Can you not? No. You accuse me of cherry picking. You hold on. You accuse me of cherry picking, and I said at the beginning of this broadcast, if you think I'm taking anything out of context or I'm taking a chunk of a piece of this and reading it in a way that cuts against the rest of the page or even the section that it's in, then call me out on it. But you can't, because you won't. Because if you read this report and you actually have to pretend to give a crap about this country, you won't be able to do it. Because you don't. How? How do you care about this country? If you're okay with Russia messing with our election and you're going to give them a pass, how do you care?
Are you okay with Clinton and everything she did?
Give me an example. What's the problem? Which part?
Oh, deleting 30-some thousand emails
From a private server that was not hacked, that have not been released in any way. Meanwhile,
and smashing phones and bleach bit and everything.
everybody
else.
bleach
That's
bits
not
and
legal.
smashes their phones after they leave the State Department.
Oh, but when the FBI calls you up and says, I need this stuff, and then you go ahead and delete them and you smash everything, that's okay for her to do that.
They'd already left. But again, if you have evidence, here's the thing. If your fantasy about what those emails are about and your fantasy about what's on those phones is much stronger than what's actually in the Mueller report. So you can make up stuff in your head, like, Pizzagate and that she spoke to Goldman Sachs and sold out the country and she's a member of the Flat Earth Society. You can believe that because you never saw these emails. But if I show you actual stuff that Trump himself has admitted to that qualify as crimes, that's fine with you. So I don't have a problem with you having a problem with something Hillary had done. If you also gave a crap about Trump, but you don't. She's not president. She hasn't been in office for 5 years. Did he leave? Did we lose him?
We're not going to.
Oh, no, you're there. Okay.
No.
Go ahead.
No. Here's the thing. We're not going to agree no matter what. No matter how much you prove this, my mind's set. No matter how much I prove about this, your mind's set. Okay?
You haven't attempted to prove anything. I've done an entire 2-hour show so far where I am proving these points, where I'm addressing very specific details. And what have you boiled down to? 33,000 emails and bleach bit phones. Not an actual case of violation, not details that were shown, nothing, no violations of the law specifically. You don't bother. You know why? Because you love him and you will line up to wipe his ass every time you get a chance, because it's a sycophantic love for this man and a hatred of the country.
No. I'm telling you this right now. I'm concerned about other issues that I want solved, and I'm concerned about my wallet, and I'm concerned about immigration. That's when I'm.
You're concerned about the fact that the corporation's got a permanent tax cut, but yours is temporary.
Okay, can I give you the perfect example? Let's talk about that real quick. That tax cut provided $600 million back to my corporation that they got to reinvest for new routes, new airplanes, new this, new that, more employees.
What company is that?
People continue. No, don't go down that avenue when it comes to the aviation
What company?
world in my corporation.
What company?
I'm not going to tell you my company. I'm not going to tell you.
Well, then why do I believe you that they invested that money back and didn't just do stock buybacks?
Okay. Hey, listen to me.
How do I know they didn't?
Listen to me. You don't know what you're talking about when it comes to that. You do not know what you're talking about.
How could I possibly know? You made it up.
I know firsthand with my company that money.
What company?
New routes, because I fly those routes. Okay, I am access to all that information.
So your company bought new lanes in the air with the $600 million?
You don't know what you don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm mocking what you're saying because it's garbage.
You're not educated on it. I am educated on it, okay?
Educated on what?
All over the world.
You won't even say what the company is.
That my company reinvested more money to go ahead and add additional routes, which means we got to go ahead and have more fuelers for more airplanes, for more customer service agents, more rampers, more this, more that. The list can go on. More maintenance techs, more line techs, you name it. And guess what? That provided paychecks for more people, okay, and provided job security. And I believe I'm only speaking for my company. I'm not speaking for any
What
other
company?
I'm speaking for mine. And for my company,
what company?
It's an airline here in the United States. I'm not going to tell you online. I'm not supposed to talk about my company and say
it's public.
What my company is.
If you're public, is it a publicly traded company?
Yes, it is.
Well, then there's nothing wrong with saying what company it is.
So wait a minute. You're going to go and tell me, okay, about my company that you... okay.
No, I'm not going to tell you about your company. I don't know what your company is. I don't know that your details are real. You are arguing that I'm supposed to trust you. No. Todd, don't be willfully ignorant. You have come on here repeatedly, and you will not push back against details that I put forward by fantasizing about Hillary Clinton's emails and the idea that I'm supposed to believe you sight unseen that your company didn't just do stock buybacks and diverted other funds to open those routes because they could, and that they actually own more of their own company and so that they could boost their stock price, which is what dozens of companies have done. Exactly. I'm guessing he just left. Is that what happened, Lady B? We got to take a break anyways. Yeah. So again, I don't expect to turn somebody like Todd, but I do expect Todd to face his own ignorance, to face his willful ignorance and his support for Donald Trump in spite of the damage that he does. Donald Trump's tax break that he's enjoying so much came at the expense of Social Security, came at the expense of Medicare, came at the expense of the working person because it is a temporary tax cut for them and a permanent one for those corporations. Those corporations, by the way, that are multinational corporations. So this idea that somehow we're helping America by helping his airline is an absurdity. But, again, was there a moment... We got to take a break. But was there a moment in our entire exchange where he addressed a single thing in the Mueller report and that was there? No, because of an emotional weakness on his part and a collapsing intellect on the right. This is the anti-vaxxer movement tax edition. We'll be back. Hilarious. Poor Todd. Poor Todd. I can't give you the name of my publicly traded company because you'll look up what they spent the money on and call me out. I know he's straw manning. I don't care. Let him use a straw man. Who cares? It's fun. When somebody does, don't respond to straw man arguments by going, that's just a straw man. You're not even dealing with the issue. Just step on him with a big wet foot. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, Carl, like he was... The planes went... Where in it am I supposed to actually take anything he says at face value? Because, like it or not, I'm here. I'm me. You can look me up online. This is actually me speaking. These are actually my ideas. This is my channel, my words, my social media. But Todd, who works for Mystery Corporation, wants me to take his argument equally as seriously. And then when I start talking about, the nuts and bolts of it, well, no, don't, it's not. How do I know that your company did that? Well, you just have to take my word for it. What's the name of the company? I can't tell you. Like, please. Grow up.
35 seconds, and we still got 2 callers.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll get them. I'm going to do one thing, and then we'll jump right back in with the callers for the tail end of the show. Perfect.
Okay, cool.
Good times. Excuse me.
Welcome back to the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide. It's now time for the happy ending.
So we got a couple more calls, but before we get to them, I want to address a couple of the a couple more things from the Mueller report. So this idea that no one in the campaign, like the Barr statement and Trump's statement, are these big, broad, sweeping, nothing to see here moments, and they reference what the Mueller report says to back them up. Again, let me be abundantly clear. If the Trump team had said, we're doing our own investigation into, I'm assigning part of the DOJ that's not the special prosecutor to look into Russia and make sure that in our next election, they're not going to come after us. And while we were looking at that, we found something that contradicted what Mueller had found. And Barr said, while the special counsel's been looking into this thing, we've also had other investigations going on. And in reference to those, we've discovered things in the light, put in context stuff that the Mueller team did not find, and therefore blah, blah, blah. That's not what they said. Barr and Trump both referenced the Mueller report as a way of justifying what their version of the facts. And that is that no one on the Trump campaign interacted with Russians or anyone involved with the Russian government in the hacking or releasing of emails and in the Russian manipulation of our election, and that no American willingly or unwillingly did so, which is, again, goofy at its face. But the campaign's response to reports about Russian support for Trump. Okay, Trump responded to questions about possible connections to Russia by denying any business involvement in Russia, even though the Trump organization had pursued a business project in Russia as late as June 2016. It overlapped with when he was saying that on the campaign trail. I got no deals while they were trying to make a deal. Trump also expressed skepticism that Russia had hacked emails at the same time, and he and other campaign advisors privately, sought information about any further planned WikiLeaks releases. So, and by the way, when is somebody going to ask him if he still believes Russia had nothing to do with the attacks on our election? When's that question coming? Do you still stand by that statement? Because he can say, they didn't indict me, so I'm free and clear all he wants to. But at least be honest about what Russia is attempting to do. And people go, well, we need to be friends with Russia because they're a big, dangerous, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, that doesn't mean we have to be okay with them messing with our elections. That's just weird. So, and again, this idea that Trump didn't know because there wasn't a paper trail around him. Multiple situations where Gates, and again, Manafort said shortly after WikiLeaks 22 release of hacked documents, he spoke with Trump, and it says harm to ongoing matter. Now again, Manafort is in jail, and the only person in that exchange that isn't is Donald Trump. So what's the ongoing matter? Manafort recalled that Trump responded that Manafort should keep Trump updated. I don't know what the middle part is and why that's a hum, but the keep Trump updated isn't. Deputy campaign manager Rick Gates said that Manafort was getting pressure from somebody, we don't say, information, and that Manafort instructed Gates give status updates to him about upcoming releases from WikiLeaks. Around the same time, here you go, Gates was with Trump on a trip to an airport, they don't say where, and shortly after the call ended, Trump told Gates that more releases of damaging information would be coming. Trump getting early information about WikiLeaks and DC leaks specifically, releases of information. Yeah. But, anybody do that. That's what you do to make a deal. It's a rough and tumble world. Hey, man. Right? You just be able to take whatever stuff you get. Let's grab another caller. Who do we have, Lady B? Oh man. I got knocked off. It's terrible. It's connecting. It says connecting. We're hopefully connecting. I hope we're connecting. We could be connecting. We'll see if we're connecting. It's not connecting me for some reason. Sorry, I can't. If we're hopped to the YouTube audio, Lady B, then I won't be able to take a call, but it keeps dumping me in and out. Hopefully going to that. Yeah, we've literally gone with Trump from I love WikiLeaks to what's Wiki who? WikiLeaky? Freaky Deaky WikiLeaky? I don't know. The bless you. So here's another example. While I'm trying to reconnect to Chicago, hopefully the audio is coming fine through the YouTube channel. Trump actually gives in his answers repeated denials and has, considering his steel trap memory, remembers nothing, apparently. I had no knowledge of Mr. Manafort offering briefings on the progress of my campaign to an individual named Oleg Deripaska, nor do I remember being aware of Mr. Manafort or anyone else associated with my campaign sending or directing others to send internal Trump campaign information to anyone I knew to be in Ukraine or Russia at the time, or to anyone I understood to be a Ukrainian or Russian government employee or official. I do not remember Mr. Manafort communicating to me any particular positions Ukraine or Russia would want the United States to support. Oh, I forgot to put that page up on the screen. Beg your pardon, everybody. So in the chat room, you'll be able to see that up. Now, I mean, this one breaks down like crazy. Like the language, look at the parsed legalese in this one. I don't remember being aware of Mr. Manafort or anyone else associated with my campaign sending or directing others to send internal Trump campaign information. I might have. And if you have evidence of me doing that, I would need to see it to refresh my memory. But I don't have any recollection of doing that. If you didn't do that, you wouldn't do that. I mean, obviously. So, and then there's send internal to anyone I knew to be in Ukraine or Russia at the time. That's pretty specific. Or to anyone I understood to be a Ukrainian or Russian government employee or official. Independent contractor, that's another story. Technically, because that's when he's being interviewed in person, that is the moment where you go, real quick, just tell us, what do you think an employee is? Do you consider do you consider a PR person who works for you an employee, or are they an independent contractor? Because that matters. That's a very distinct, specific difference. And it matters in this context. I do not remember Mr. Manafort communicating to me any particular positions that Ukraine or Russia would want the United States to support. Oh, is that so? You don't remember a specific one. He may have actually done it, but there you go. We're at the end of the show. Lady B, I hope you were able to grab audio from this, because the tie line crapped out on me at the last second. But thank you for listening. It's the Hal Sparks Radio program, Mega Worldwide on WCPT Radio, Chicago's Progressive Talk. We'll see you next week. Stick around for the post show. Everybody who's in the chat room, like and subscribe. Infotainmentwars.com is our website. It's not really. It's just a push-through URL that I'm using that I find particularly funny. And we will be doing a post show, and I'll dive a little deeper into this, and of course we'll talk about all things Mueller related and elsewhere. Anyways, thanks so much. We'll see you next week. Crap. I hope she was able to get audio from that. All right. There we go. We'll be back up in a second. Let me get some stuff together. And so I grabbed I didn't even get through the rest of the stuff that I had set aside. So we'll just share this with you guys in terms of what's in there. Here we go. Welcome to the post show. We're talking about the Mueller report. This will be tagged onto there, and I'm glad you guys could hear me on the on there. I think it's good that they have the audio backup from YouTube all the time, and it's amazing that the sound quality on there is plenty good, and we can't do that. I thank you for the reminder, Tom. I use the earbuds now because I can actually throw in some sound effects because I wanted to do some more of that stuff, but only in the post show because it can be a little bit can be a little complicated.
I'm a dude playing a dude disguised as another dude.
Know what I mean? So hopefully we'll be able to enter into this. So here we go. Let's see. All right, well, welcome to the post show, everybody. How do you like that? Smash the like if you could, everybody. I really appreciate that. Like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us a bunch. We've got, how many current viewers? We've got 269 people in here gathered around, and a chat rate of 18. I don't know what these logistic things. We've got 85 likes, though. There's 267 of you in here, and only 87. There you go. Try to get that number up, guys. Let's at least, there's over 200 people. We should at least have 100 likes in here. I don't care if we have dislikes either. Like, that's the funny part. It's all engagement. So, as far as YouTube is concerned, I mean, I kind of do, but I kind of don't. So this was one of the big standout parts for me in terms of the Mueller report that was super valuable. This is in the introduction to Volume 1. In no uncertain terms, they wrote, the Russian government interfered in the 2016 presidential election in sweeping and systematic fashion. Evidence of Russian government operations began to surface around mid-2016. In June, the DNC and its cyber response team publicly announced that Russian hackers had compromised its computer network. Releases of hacked materials, hacks that public reporting soon attributed to the Russian government, began that same month. Additional releases followed in July through the organization WikiLeaks, with further releases in October and November. All, by the way, strategized with what Russia wanted and what the Trump campaign wanted. But, Roger Stone talking to Guccifer and talking to WikiLeaks and Papadopoulos taking a picture a block and a half away from the Ecuadorian embassy after meeting with Assange. I mean, that's just what? What's that even? What? How does that even matter? So, in this particular instance, this was one that Rachel brought up last night that I thought was particularly hilarious. that they had. So the president had Corey Lewandowski carry these messages over to, he gathered him in his office. They're having this powwow, and Sessions has recused himself. This investigation's happening, and Trump pipes up and goes,
I've got a plan, and it's as hot as my pants.
And he tells Corey Lewandowski to take notes and write down this speech that he's going to give that proves that Donald Trump is just being tormented. And Lewandowski tries a couple of times to have a meeting with Sessions. Sessions keeps dodging him because he knows what's coming. Lewandowski's calling, he's trying to set up meetings. Every time he calls, Sessions is going,
oh, God, that's all I need.
And doesn't call him back. And then ultimately, Trump calls Lewandowski back in and says,
don't look now, but there's one man too many in this room, and I think it's you.
And he asks him, has he told Sessions this stuff? Right? Has he made sure that, has he conveyed his speech and message to Sessions? And he goes, no, I'm going to do that real soon. Sessions isn't taking my calls. And Trump doesn't take it well.
Oh, come on! What the hell?
He was in the little truck out front of the White House at that time. And he tells Lewandowski to go over to see Jeff Sessions and ask him.
Hey, you want to make $14 the hard way?
No, he asks him to tell Sessions when he talks to him that if he doesn't meet with him, Lewandowski should tell Sessions he's fired. Lewandowski, who doesn't work in the White House, on behalf of the guy whose job it's been for years to tell people they're fired. Remember that. This is Donald Trump we're talking about. This is Donald Trump, whose, catchphrase, is you're fired. It doesn't want to say you're fired. Like, why would you have Corey Lewandowski do that? You're the president. Draft up a letter and send it to him. So, that in and of itself, pretty hilarious. So, the stuff with Don McGahn, and this is, kind of leads up to the part I was just showing you. 2 days after the president directed McGahn to have the special counsel removed, the president made another attempt to affect the course of the Russia investigation. On June 19, 2017, the president met one-on-one with Corey Lewandowski in the Oval Office and dictated a message to be delivered to Attorney General Sessions that would have had the effect of limiting the Russia investigation to future election interference only.
And that's how she wrote.
I mean, meaning we're just going to forget about what Russia did in the last election, and you guys just focus on going forward, because I'm baked in here. I don't have to worry about it. They're going to back me no matter what. And I've got this base sitting here, and I trust my numbers, so I'm cool. And literally, okay. And then 1 month later, the president met again with Lewandowski and followed up on the request to have Sessions limit the scope of the Russia investigation. Lewandowski told the president the message would be delivered soon. Hours later, the president publicly criticized Sessions in an unplanned press interview, raising questions about Sessions' job security. On June 19, 2017, 2 days after the president directed McGahn to have the special counsel removed, the president met one-on-one with his former campaign manager, Corey Lewandowski. Senior White House advisors described Lewandowski as a, quote, devotee of the president, and said the relationship between the president and Lewandowski was close. Close. All right.
I was born to love you.
Oh, it's close.
I was born to lick your face.
Corey Lewandowski.
I was born
and Trump.
to rub you, but you were born to rub me first.
That's a rough one. So the during the June 19th meeting, that's where he goes. He told him to write that weird little letter. And this is what he directed him to write. This is President directed that Sessions should give a speech publicly announcing what he wrote down.
And that's how she wrote.
So he goes, this write this down. This is what I want you to say to him, word for word, word for word. Write this down. This is good stuff. It's coming. The Adderall's kicking in. I've got these words. I know that I recuse myself from certain things having to do with specific areas. I don't want to say what. But our POTUS is being treated very unfairly. He shouldn't have a special prosecutor counsel because he hasn't done anything wrong. I was on the campaign with him for 9 months. There were no Russians involved with him. I know for a fact because I was there. He didn't do anything wrong except he ran the greatest campaign in American history. So it was wrong to run the greatest campaign in American history? Okay. We know what he's saying, but that's it. And the dictated message went on. Boy, did it go on and on. To state that Sessions would meet with the special counsel to limit his jurisdiction to future election interference. Now, a group of people want to subvert the Constitution of the United States. I am going to meet with the special prosecutor to explain this is very unfair and let the special prosecutor move forward with investigating election meddling for future elections so that nothing can happen in future elections. Did I mention future elections?
Well, we're waiting.
Go take it to him. So, that, so at that point, Lewandowski has to carry this note over to Trump or to Sessions. And this is that's the part about the Illinois voter rolls that I read during the show. That's do I have a page? Yeah, it's page 50 of volume 1, which like page 49 to like 52 is some really scary stuff. It's like these guys are, they're not messing around. This is some vicious stuff. Okay, here's so this was the interesting part about the WikiLeaks connection, because a lot of people will argue that, well, WikiLeaks, they were just seeking the truth and they wanted information because what they are a wholesale arbiter of the truth, the uncomfortable truths that are hidden, right? This is, that's what's important to them. That's supposedly what WikiLeaks is all about. Like, the governments hide stuff. Governments, not campaigns, not individuals, not citizens running for office, because obviously they didn't give a crap about all the stuff Trump is hiding. Again, WikiLeaks is like the same as, TMZ and Page 6 were with the Weinstein scandal and all the other, and Cosby for that matter. Because you're telling me they didn't know? They'll follow Brad and Angelina, up an oak tree with, a microscope if they think that they're just not shopping together often enough. But Cosby and Weinstein, well, I don't know anything about that. They get tips that get them to send a helicopter to someone's backyard because that person is swimming with neighbors whom they are not knocking boots with. Meanwhile, they didn't know about Weinstein. They didn't know about Cosby. They didn't know about any of these guys. I'm supposed to believe that? Same thing with WikiLeaks. WikiLeaks is the big arbiter of truth and the dissemination of all kinds of no, we're not putting GOP in FEMA camps, you goofball. There's no point where any of where they seem to be an equal arbiter of justice in this particular situation. Like all they wanted was this stuff to be dumped on Hillary because of how they felt about her. And so check this out. So this is WikiLeaks emails. These are not direct Assange ones. The Assange stuff is even more telling. But I've always been kind of the feeling that Assange is not WikiLeaks and WikiLeaks is not Assange. With all his problems and his grotesqueness, there's still a value to whistleblowers and having an outlet, and that there are, I believe, good people that work at WikiLeaks that in a lot of ways have to deal with the fact that Assange is kind of permanently attached to their organization, whether he's running it or not, right? And so to me, I can make that bifurcation between the two, and I certainly make a difference between Assange and WikiLeaks and the actual whistleblowers themselves, right? So the whistleblowers I give 100% credit to. Once it gets into WikiLeaks' hands, if it's but for secure information that would endanger lives, them putting that stuff out there seems to be what the point of WikiLeaks and the value of WikiLeaks is, right? However, that doesn't seem to be the case. And largely it's, that's what happened with DC Leaks and with Guccifer 2.0. The RNC was also hacked by the Russians. None of that stuff has come out, but there's a lot of Republicans that are acting hacked, if you know what I mean. Like they've been warned. So super important. Okay, so WikiLeaks again contacted Guccifer 2.0 with Twitter's private messaging function, writing, "If you have anything Hillary related, we want it in the next 2 days preferably, because the DNC is approaching and she will solidify Bernie supporters behind her after." Guccifer 2.0 persona responded, "Okay, I see." WikiLeaks also explained, "We think Trump has only a 25% chance of winning against Hillary, so conflict between Bernie and Hillary is interesting." Meaning that they were interested in stoking opposition between Bernie supporters and Hillary supporters. And so a lot of the Bernie bros people were interacting with online are people who were, super divisive in how they talked about Hillary or Bernie or his treatment or whatever. A lot of those were bots. And then some of them were people. That happens a decent amount, but a good portion of them, there was a lot of botting going on.
Don't ever call me stupid.
So, there's a lot of stupid stuff in this, clearly. The fascinating part of this is, so Trump, again, Gates is going to be, has got a cooperation agreement. Manafort's in jail. But there's all this harm to ongoing matter stuff that's in these documents. And a lot of it has to do with both WikiLeaks and Trump talking about WikiLeaks. That's a really fascinating part of this. And I don't know if this goes to a counterintelligence investigation or the FBI looking into it. The Russians had a fake Bernie Facebook page. They had a lot of them. They had a fake Black Lives Matter page. They had several fake feminist ones. They had fake Christian ones. They had fake gun rights ones. Just check your stuff. I can't stand Jimmy Dore. Oh, that makes 1,000 of us. According to Gates, by the late summer of 2016, the Trump campaign was planning a press strategy, a communications campaign, and a messaging based on the possible release of Clinton emails by WikiLeaks. And by the way, we've already established earlier in the report that he was getting phone calls and hanging up the phone calls going, there's more stuff coming out. Like he's getting, before it came out, he's getting that tip off, right? So, and this is all blacked out, big chunks of this, and the stuff that has to do with Jerome Corsi and who filled in on the whoops. Don't call me other. Can't post that. Now I've got to black out a number. That's crazy talk. I thought I was on like my iPad was on like sleep mode or something. Anyways, it didn't come up. Okay, good. So. I love when people call me in the middle of everything and then I'm supposed to do this. So I have the actual report here and tons of stuff around it. And I went through as best I could, and I really focused on the report volume 1 because in volume 1, this is when we're talking about what the Russians actually did. It's the important one. Insofar as I know, legally, the biggest problem for Trump is volume 2, no question. That's John Pelosi. That's not fair because Dennis Miller used to be funny. No. Not this. There it is. I lost which button it was. There we go. At the time of Papadopoulos' March 2nd email, the media was criticizing the Trump campaign for lack of experience in foreign policy and national security advisor within its ranks. That's how Papadopoulos involved. Anyways, so in the legally, Trump is in the biggest hot water due to the obstruction issue because the Congress can go after that. They can, and that was the entire point of volume 2. You can tell. That is Mueller's intention. Hal, if Lab Lead Force gets a second season and they ask you to be in it, would you do it? Of course I would, Octus. I would love to do that. It's super fun. We must start to impeach by the time we get all the testimonials. America will want to impeach Trump. Well, that's the thing. Don't start it as an impeachment hearing. You can have that as the goal. But I don't know why. Okay, message to Democrats, because Republicans already know this. You do not play poker by getting your cards and throwing them on the table and start bluffing. That's not a strategy. That's what going straight to impeach is. Understand? You got to start putting, you keep the threat of impeachment going because of details. You got to hold your cards close to the vest, and you got to start laying more money on the table to freak them out. Yeah, take notes, Elizabeth Warren. Here's the thing. Some of them should be calling for impeachment as part of their strategy. That's fine. And you call for impeachment under the category of, I believe he should be an impeachment hearing because I know he lied and here's why and all these other things. But they must slow walk it in the House leading up and into the election, because the Republicans did not balk at the idea of fast and furious hearings and whatnot when Obama was running. So let's be completely honest that any blowback that they think should come from that is it's just embarrassing. Like, you really want to go there? So, let's see. There is literally so much stuff in this. The Carter Page stuff is hilarious. Like, Carter Page is literally the only circumstance where the Russians found a useless idiot. Honestly. I mean, there are moments in there where basically you can hear the Russians going, "Ugh, this fucking guy." He's back. The Carter Page is back. He doesn't know anything. He keeps trying to be a conduit, but I don't know why. Nobody cares. Don't even know. You're not writing that word in here. Does not remove. Nope. Answer calls? Which calls? What are you talking about? Yeah. Answer calls from what? Let's see. Yeah. Oh, I cut it off before it got a chance to finish. Yeah, there were 21 hearings on Benghazi alone. Oh, thank you, Minnow. That are impeachment some teeth by opening up preliminary investigations looking into things Trump did that can be related to impeachment, not strictly limited to just questions of obstruction, conspiracy, collusion. Exactly, Evernum. And that's the thing. You have to, you got to play coy with the impeachment process because that word is so supercharged. People are fine with investigating his finances because of the sketchy stuff, and you have to be like, you have to relate it to the working person. You have to constantly say, look, no one should get away with this, this level of criminality. Yeah, codename this guy. You got the page again. So you have to go through it with the idea of like, people need to be screaming for impeachment before we even going to it. And Democrats need to stop saying collusion. I agree. Conspiracy to defraud and obstruct an investigation into that fraud. Oh, yeah. And by the way, that whole like nobody during the campaign and you're going to with willingly or unknowingly with Russian blah blah. Notice he says Russian government officials because Kalimnik is just an oligarch tied to Putin. That's how they operate. It's mafia boss stuff. Manafort also twice met with Kalimnik in the United States during the campaign period and conveyed campaign information. The second meeting took place on August 2nd, 2016 in New York City. Kalimnik requested the meeting to deliver an in-person message from former Ukrainian President Viktor Yanukovych, who was then living in Russia. The message was about a peace plan for Ukraine that Manafort had since acknowledged was a backdoor means for Russia to control eastern Ukraine. This was how they ended up changing the entire, the RNC's policy towards them. All that is required to start process is a very minor wink or slight push from Donald Trump. And that slight wink or that wink or slight push came in the form of just letting those guys do it. That's it. Yo, what's up, Frosty? How are you? We're doing all right. Don't forget to like and subscribe, everybody. Think about becoming a Patreon subscriber. Support our endeavors. We got our first two not appropriate for all ad campaign strike against us. This happens, by the way, anytime I mention Trump in my descriptive. If I was like, because I literally did Trump and Mueller, and they're like, not appropriate for all advertisers. I was like, what? What? I guess CNN has their own, for whatever reason, has their own advertisers, so they don't kind of care. But holy smokes, like that was. I want to try and find something that I like, and it's gonna wait. Where is it? there was some stuff in here that I found particularly like, this is a great part of the whole thing. This is a lovely section. Hold on. Let's see if this will come up. Wait till it comes up. 3, 2, 1. That's some good stuff right there. So, and there's a lot of talk about the false statements aspect of this. They go into it repeatedly. Where is it? And they have this. Unfortunately, they have a section. Oh, and it's so good, guys. I didn't bring this up during the regular show, and I saved it for the post show, just because it's just too much. I don't know how we go down this road and not get in trouble for this. They had a limitation on some of the information that they cut out. They had harm to an ongoing matter. They had national intelligence. They have grand jury. And then they have embarrassing details that would invoke someone's personal privacy, which harm to ongoing matter has the shortened abbreviative form HOM. Personal privacy has its own rather obvious shortening that why wouldn't they just say personal information? Or, I would say private information of, private citizen information or something. Like, really? Huge chunks of pee-pee blacked out. That must be the Ivanka Jared Don Jr. part. I think you're right, John. I absolutely do. There's a big portion of that is rather obvious, that they have this kind of stuff available. Where did it go? Oh, I opened the doc again. Where is it? Oh, I hate that when it does that. It closes it. I don't know what to do. And I can't show. Oh, there it is. In recents, it gets moved to the top. It's very squirrely, this whole business. Keeps moving it around. So, I'm going to move this to the top. And by the way, like, what fascinates me is that, and there may be ongoing matters. Indeed, it is, Donald. There may be ongoing matters that show up in in front of Congress and some other areas, or whatever. But let's put a pin in this idea for a time being. That this idea of William Barr's, that they somehow. No member of the campaign had any illegal involvement, and that's the tricky part, where he says illegal involvement with Russian government officials hacking that leaves so much room for other criminality. It's embarrassing. Like, it's such a ridiculous lie. So, but for the whole, there's no point where the Russian government messed with while they messed with our election, no Trump campaign or American individual messed with, was involved with them at all. Well, you can tell that's not true just by going through the table of contents. Donald Trump Jr. interaction with WikiLeaks. Henry Okoniansky, also known as Henry Greenberg. The Trump Tower Moscow venture with the Crocus Group, not to be confused with the band. Russia-related communications with the campaign. There's a whole section of it, actually, of them doing it. George Papadopoulos learns that Russia has dirt in the form of Clinton emails. Carter Page, who's literally, like they had him on Ari's program and it said cleared witness or something, which is not true at all if you read it. They just didn't indict him on that stuff. He isn't cleared. Paul Manafort, because he wasn't a campaign employee and he didn't. Yeah, it's just silly. So Paul Manafort's ties to Russia and Ukraine, Oleg Deripaska, Konstantin Kalimnik, the Seychelles meeting with Eric Prince, Jared Kushner's meeting with Sergei Gorkov, like just literally just flouting this. And I love how there's a whole section here. There's a whole big PP section for somebody after George Papadopoulos. I'm guessing that might be Carter Page because of the timing. And that between Michael Cohen and Jeff Sessions, ongoing matter. And it really don't say like who that is. So, but there's no debate that the Russians messed with our election. Oh, sorry, I was throwing that behind you. Sorry, I was throwing that behind there the whole time. Yeah, Cambridge Analytics, right. Is Buttigieg the youngest candidate? I don't know. I think so. It would seem so. All right. Hold on. I'll open the page up. Crocus does indeed rock. I agree. Let's see. In Swalwell. Sorry, I'm going to roll back and see what's in. Sparks, yay, the Patreon has gone from $34 to $243 a month in less than a month. The new computer will be here soon. Yeah, Billy, that's the great thing. I want to thank everybody who joined in the Patreon because, wow. Obviously, we're nowhere near the Jimmy Dores and TYTs of the world. Because we're just fledgling. We're just getting this part of it started. But it would make a big difference in our, in being able to have Johnny regularly on the radio show, of expanding the studio, actually having a space of our own to do the show in, all that stuff, kind of has to come from within this stuff. And this is one of the best ways to do it. So I'm going to go in there real quick. And yeah, and I think we have 24 patrons now. We had 6 a month ago, and I can't tell you guys how much I appreciate it. I know you guys are in here and you're regulars and all that kind of stuff. If you can't super chat, which is some of the complaint, please feel free to become a subscriber via the Patreon. Become a patron. It'd be super sweet. Let's see. The link. Will that do it? Bless you. It's right here. Patreon.com/HalSparks. And again, guys, we got 120 likes. We cleared we got 215 people in here and 120 likes. So please feel free to just hit that thumbs up for us at the bottom of your screen. Just do it. Do it. Thank you, Tom. Milkman Norm, what's happening? I would super chat, but not over a public Wi-Fi. Understood. I think that's wise. Patreon once Beetle College didn't go through, but she's in Ireland. Bealtaine Cottage. It didn't go through, but she's in Ireland. I understand. 121. Yeah. What percent of super chats does Google keep? I don't know. Not a lot though. It doesn't seem to be a bunch. I think it's, maybe 10% or something like that. Let's see. I'd have to look it up. Yeah. Literally, we'll find out. Ooh, 30%. Woo. Yeah, that's a bunch. But I think it tears down over time. Oh, I see. No, it's 30% because these if you're on a network. So it's yeah, they don't have it. Let's see. Look at there. Yeah. I have a cat walking around behind me. I can hear them. Who's back there? Who is it? Is it Maddie? I thought it was Maddie. I saw Maddie earlier. Joe Biden is set to announce next week. Yep. Is your show recorded? I missed today. Yes, it is. It will be. It's up online, so you can watch it after the fact. And I'd have gotten away with it. How they dumped 1.8 million gallons of core exit in the spill, which turned into little pellets, which dropped on the Gulf of Mexico's bottom. Core exit causes mutations. Well, yeah. This is true. I am. But I've gotta hit my, before I can make the rings, I have to hit my target on Patreon. So basically, unless I hit the goal, I won't be able to order them, and then I won't be able to distribute them and that kind of stuff. So I need a certain number of people doing it. So is it too early? I'm leaning towards Warren. Thank you. I can't wait to hear Mueller report comments. Yeah, it's all up on there. We did a bunch of it. And there's also a special report that I did on Thursday when it came out that I broke down a bunch of stuff. If you see a supposed Democratic person low rating any of the other candidates, think troll or bot. Absolutely. What's happening, Liberty? How does it just mean? Does it feel like we're living some John Waters Warp movie under this administration? Yeah, it's a bit surreal. We is not a word in the corporate criminal language. They make the taxpayers pay for it, and then they go their offshore accounts and deposit millions. Well, that's the issue too. Is like how many of these companies have to, if they can't do business, they're going to leave, and we will lose jobs. And I was like, it's not an American company. Set rules that benefit American companies and set rules that govern the behavior of American companies, and therefore you can make sure that American companies get first shot at those kind of things and only stay in business if they act within those limitations as far as pollution and stuff. That should be an America first kind of idea. Do higher Patreon levels still get the blue patch? Yes, they do. You get that automatically at any level, but it starts at the $5 level. So if you have $5 Patreon, you'll get one of the blue patches, which again lets you go to bring a guest to one of my shows for free. Anytime I'm in your area. So it kind of pays for itself ticket-wise instantly. I'm not ready to know if I'm ready to have a president younger than me. Well, Obama's younger than me, I think. So, isn't he? Yeah. Is he? Yeah. I'm in the car listening. My niece said, I don't want to listen to Mr. Davenport. That's hilarious. Why not? That's terrible. Obama was the first president younger than me. Yeah. I don't have a problem with that. I mean, I think a lot of people felt that way about Kennedy. You don't have a Nightbot. Oh, he was born in 60, so no, he's older than me. Yeah. It's very interesting that Ivanka gave a proffer during the investigation. Right. Well, she did that under advice of counsel before she even spoke to them. I don't know that points to her actually being in trouble in any way, but I guarantee like they are used to going to court and dealing with lawsuits and that kind of stuff. So she's going to do the they're going to make a point of doing that. You know, they're going to make a point of any time they find themselves in that situation. That's why her dad answered written questions. Like, look at the deposition he gave in that other case that's out there. Like, it's embarrassing. Like, he can't not lie. So, of course, and that was just a civil case. Everyone is younger than me. My boss is my doctor, most of my government. This is true, Jude. That's plenty, please. Thank you so much. That's what I was thinking, James. Thank you. How did that caller Todd say his company reinvested in new routes to fly? Because that's not how it works. Those routes have to be available and bought. He was lying. Yeah, that's why I was like, what company are you talking about? Are you, and ultimately, in that situation, they probably bought another airline and got those routes from them. He cannot lie and he cannot get out of his way to praise himself for his actions. Yeah, that was, it was fun. I don't mind, people calling in and saying, their piece. And I can just, I can talk to Trump supporters. I have. It's not, I'm not allergic to the idea, and I certainly don't panic. But don't come in here and throw shade my way and expect to get away with it. Like, dude, please. It's embarrassing. Goofy nonsense. Cool. See if that. I'm checking to see if something works. I don't even know if I want. That's a good one. Hold on. I'm trying to find a video piece or something. It's long enough. See if this is. That froze up. That's fun. We'll see. Anyways, be well, EO. More cowbell. I have to go there for I need to leave in a bit. That's true. Moore's doors. I know leaded fuel is allowed in general aviation. Not sure airline turbofans though. Have I ever played a video game before? Yeah. Gee, I don't know. Let me think. Sometimes you just gotta, I find that I learn better sometimes when I disassociate part of my brain that wants to, that would rather be doing something else. So if I need to listen to a lecture online or something like that, it's super important to me to, absorb what I'm doing, and hold on, take this. I'm trying to re-up this. I don't know why it's being weird. Does not want to play that video. That's interesting. Okay. So pictures are okay, but it freaks out about video. Okay. I'm trying to figure out, because I'm playing most of these clips off of my iPad and the graphics that I showed you guys, and I'm just trying to. I was seeing if a piece of video is Christopher Walken still alive? Was he ever? He is still alive. Hell, an Xbox man. This is true. I do have a PS4 as well, but I use it for VR stuff. I need to look into that because if jets do use leaded fuel, that is a lot of lead spread around the world. Yes, it's true. Thank you. I'm more of a. I certainly play more Xbox. When I do. And yeah, my gamer tag is very cryptic. Here it is. There's no hash before it. It's just Hal 5 Park 5. I love the black and white. Oh, nice, Zelda. Well, thanks. I was trying to put together something. Oh, there you go. Now it's waking up again. Quit iTunes. Open QuickTime. New recording. Just being odd. It did not like. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, it's just being a jerk. Okay. Not quite sure why. All right. Well, it worked through the show, so I don't care. It worked the whole time, so I'll figure out what the problem is for next time. Jet fuel is unleaded kerosene or naphtha-based kerosene. Good. Made a gamer tag called Adam Bree Chase. Oh, nice. I want to revisit Last of Us. Okay. Jet fuel is a waste of petroleum resources. Well, not necessarily, because the other forms of travel that would shorten it, that would lengthen the travel, would use up more. It's one of those things where you know. We do that a lot in our society. Like, it's the same thing with, like, fracking and natural gas. It's bad, but it's less bad. Piston engine airplanes and helicopters often use leaded fuel. Yeah. Carl, I fuel jets for United. I'll use the name and I don't care. Jet A is a refined form of kerosene with no lead in it. The Cessnas, I fuel used 100 octane, no lead AV gas. Yeah, the AV gas at Santa Monica isn't leaded. And we're in small prop planes. Portal Knights. That's cool. I have not played that. I'm going to sign off, guys, right at noon my time. Got a bunch of work to do today. Some of you that are patrons, though, I'm going to be doing a special live stream just for you guys to show you kind of behind the scenes of what I've been doing and what I'm working on. When there, those big gaps where I'm conspicuously absent from social media. Yeah, well, that I'm doing stuff. I'm working. So to show you what I'm working on, and then next week I'm at the Halifax Comedy Festival. And for doing 3 shows, 2 on their TV galas, and then 1 on their LGBT ally night. I guess it's just an ally night because I'm performing. The rest of it's LGBT comedians, I think. But I will find out when I get there, I guess. And then May 11th, Nerd Halen, my Van Halen cover band and comedy show sort of thingy that we're doing, is having our debut show in LA at the Federal in North Hollywood. And then May 18th, 01, the following Saturday, 01 is playing. We're playing late. We're playing like 11:30 at night. But that's appropriate if you guys know us. And I may be doing one of the jams coming up, so we'll see. So there you go. And so that's the kind of the generalized update for what's going on. I have a side project that I've been working on for a little bit that is finally turning into something. We're about 3 weeks away from launch, so I'll give you guys kind of a sneak peek when I decide to do that. So when I'm able to. Yes, Nerd Halen. Nerd Halen is my Nerd Van Halen cover band. It's just us as I play Waldo Lee Roth, who's, if you watch the Hot for Teacher video, the little kid who's in it, it's me all grown up, is the story. You say something about May 4th. Yes, we have a May 4th something. Oh, May 4th is the Humane Society's gala in Los Angeles. I'll be there. Please tell me you wear a wig. I don't really need to. I just comb my hair flat. Sit down, Waldo. Aw, Mom. I'm nervous and my socks are too loose. May the 4th be with you. Exactly. Yeah, so the Humane Society's thing, I should probably go dressed as, Darth Maul or something. That would be fun. So it's a good time. It's again, we're launching it. I don't want to spill too many beans about it, but I'm excited about it, and we're going to be doing it fairly regularly, and hopefully eventually tour with it because it'll be fun. And yeah. Whoa. Roth and Dave and Steve Vai is an amazing show. So yeah, I'm a huge Steve Vai fan, for those of you that don't know. And Passion and Warfare is my favorite, guitar instrumental record. There will be videos posted of the Nerd Halen show, clearly. Play some Jedi mind games, right? When am I having a show in San Francisco? That'll be on the list fairly quickly. So after these shows, we'll get a little heads up as to when. And San Francisco's within driving range. So the first shows will be within driving range, basically, as far north as San Francisco, Vegas, Phoenix, and San Diego. Is that kind of the circumference for all the guys who are in the band? Did you know Bill Barr was a piper? He played in band with a fellow piper in front of him. He knew him, and he played with him for 8 years. Jesus. A pied type of piper. Everyone, I recommend Hal's Recreation album, Floors in Your Hair. Oh, yeah. Thank you, Carl. Yeah, I just posted a link on my Twitter, but and Carl was there. I improvised this show because I'd been in a car accident, and I just felt like I was so shook up by it, I couldn't do my act. I didn't have, it was weird. The ice hose sounds very painful, though. It was 2 years ago, and it was maybe 3 now. 2 years ago? Yeah. Anyways, it was rough, needless to say. And literally, I was the idea of just doing my normal act as if it was normal seemed ridiculous. So I just basically improvised the whole hour, which I do sometimes in LA anyways. Most of my shows when I do stand-up in LA are an hour of improv stand-up. You wouldn't know. Because, yeah. Oh, thanks, Billy. Yeah, I'm also starting to launch more stand-up videos on my YouTube page for more short-form stuff, because I have all of this and a lot of people haven't seen it. So I'm going to start posting those regularly as well. So if you subscribe, it's one of the benefits. But I'm going to let you guys go. It's noon. I got to take off. You guys are wonderful. Thank you guys for hanging in there through all the tottage. That was hilarious. And I will see you next time, next Saturday, 9 to 11 a.m. Pacific time. And nerdhalen.com has a video of the fun. It's true. Central nervous system gets overloaded after a car accident. I remember mine very well and was non-functional for many hours after. Yeah, it was that kind of thing. So when are you in San Francisco? I don't know quite yet, but we will get there. Nothing normal about it. Thank you. I appreciate that, Michael Powell. We'll see you guys next time. Take care of yourselves and take care of somebody else, and we will see you next Saturday. There will be more short-form videos coming. Love you guys. Bye. Thank you guys for the super chats. I greatly appreciate it. Cheers. Patreon.com/HalSparks. Look, I remembered.